What's up, guys? What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Locked In Podcast, your home for personal development tips, sports news, music, and more. We're back in the building, guys, with another episode 51 of the Locked In Podcast, where we are going to be talking about a very, very special topic tonight, the topic of fatherhood from a young father himself, a good friend of mine by the name of John Green in the building tonight. Thank you so much for joining the show, man.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Sorry. And no, you're fine, man. And, we're your host for the evening as always. I'm Steve Ushler, and joined alongside me is my co-host,
G-Mac, in the building.
All right, guys. Let's play the quick intro, and then we'll just hop into it.
Don't look down, just keep your head or you'll finish.
What is going on, guys? As I said, welcome back to the Locked In Podcast. We have a very, very special guest in the building tonight. My good friend John Green, who I met back in I think it was 2014, man, at Community College, Philadelphia. Something like that, man. It's been a long time, but we have a great topic for you guys tonight. I think this will be very beneficial to a lot of young men out there. The topic of fatherhood. More in particular, we're going to talk to John about some lessons and tips that he has for you guys, as he is a young father as well. And you said, what is it, a year and 10 months, you say?
This is about 10 months, yeah.
10 months. Okay, 10 months. Yeah, so it's fairly fair. He's fairly young. So this is going to be a great episode. It's going to be very informative for everyone out there. Let me just fix something real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take that overlay out.
There you go.
But I'm really excited to just hop into this. We're streaming on YouTube and Facebook right now, guys. And I already see there's like 5 or 6 people in the room. So thank you all for joining the show as always.
Yes, thank you for joining the show, guys.
Yeah, and so this is going to be great. John, basically the format, I'll probably me and George, we can ask some questions. You can just talk about experience. It'll just be very, very free flowing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
All right. So without further ado, we played all the intros. Let's hop into it, guys. So, John, first impression being a father. I know it can be very, very scary for like a lot of rewarding, but also scary. When it, like when your partner's pregnant and the time is coming that that a life is going to be in your hands. What was your initial reaction like leading up? I know like during the pregnancy and kind of leading up to like knowing that like another life was going to kind of be in your hands. Would you say?
It's kind of a tricky question. There's a lot of emotions one goes through, from finding out to going the closer you get to
right
the point of delivery. So I guess you feel initially it was like not just like shock, but like a mix of shock and like excitement.
Right.
You get some people get like initial, like I got a little bit of initial like senses of you're not necessarily sure you're ready for that, but I think what I ended up doing is just basically my feelings progressing was I just focused on what was the most important to me, and I realized that my spouse, that I really appreciated her, and that I was like, that like I was basically saying that she's important to me. So I was like, well, let me focus on this, and you just have to like prioritize basically your what you want in life. Your priorities for just about you and whoever your partner is you're with kind of changes. At least I think you needed to force it to change, because otherwise it's hard to focus on building actual structure for your kid. So the first thing I did was start looking for jobs and started building my life in a way that I knew that my child was going to be safe and that had structure, which forced me, for myself, I ended up like having to buy a house or buying things, because I was like, well, I should build and find a place that I can raise this kid. But it's a lot of emotion. A lot of it was just prepping and just basically focusing after being excitement of how in the world you're gonna support 2 people. So
wow, man. Well, thank you for sharing that. It's very, very informative, and I think you made some great points. A lot of people, that's a great way to think of it. You're like, because another life is in your hands. Obviously, you get the initial shock, the initial joy, and then it requires you to take the actionable steps that are going to be able to put your child in the safest environment. You think of, what am I trying to do with my life ultimately? But you're right, because originally it's just you. It's obviously your partner too, but originally you're really just kind of looking out for your own life, and then once you have a child, everything kind of flips, everything changes. That was a great point.
It's not that it just changes, because like some people, and I've noticed from before I was getting kid, people tend to say to like your world changes. It wasn't like it changed. It's more of like you have reserved growing up, and like as you go through life, you build the ability to build responsibilities and stuff, and you get better at managing things, right? As you grow into adulthood and stuff. I find myself exercising the full potential of what you can do more and more because of you have to balance between being like someone's foundation and like for my spouse going through that process as to kind of touch on it just to that because I don't think a lot of people really talk about the fact that it's not like, oh, it's hard. It's not that it's hard, it's that you have to breathe a new mentality in. You have to make a decision. Basically, to make a decision, are you going to be the kind of parent that's going to let things slide, or like you're going to you're going to let the kind of person let your life go past you, or are you going to kind of make a decision to say, I'm going to be here for this person. I will be this person's foundation. I'm ready, right? Because as the day gets closer and your kid's being delivered, you have to decide: are you going to be the person that's there, no matter the emotion, whatever the setting is, that's ready to build that person back up again? Because your spouse or your partner or a kid, it's a terrifying experience for them too. And realistically, a lot of times they're already like in the mindset of being a parent, especially if it's growing inside them, you know. So it's like um, that. I guess that's what I would say. That it's not that it's just hard. It's like you become more responsible. You have to choose to be more responsible immediately. But it's a choice. It's not something that happens to you. Right.
Absolutely, because realistically, anybody can be a dad, but it takes a special type of person to be a father. I mean, or
Yeah.
vice versa, whatever or vice versa. Like, and all I'm saying by that is anybody can have a kid, but to raise a kid and actually to raise a child, and it's like you said, you're going to let certain things slide. Everybody's parenting style is different.
To
And
choose to leave a legacy is different.
yeah,
To choose to
exactly.
have a legacy is different. To say, I'm going to help this person be better than me, or to be just as good, if not better than me.
Right.
You know,
So it's kind of like you're like,
I'm not going to let you slide by the crack. Whatever happens to you, I won't give up on you. Everyone else gives up on you, kind of attitude, you know?
Right. I'll love you
And
unconditionally.
it's good for you. Some parents I've noticed, like I'm still a young father, like I'm still learning, and married for only a few years and stuff. But like a lot of people just kind of focus on their kid, and I've noticed from my own life, it helps us more if I focus on my spouse first and say, I got your back. We're gonna do this together. We got this. Because then both of you feel like you're not. It helps with the feelings of isolation and you guys not talking to each other, because that will happen. Because of kids, it's hard to talk to each other when you're tired all the time.
Definitely. Excellent point, man. Because I feel like a lot of people don't really talk about that enough, that like your spouse needs the support as well as a father to the child. The mother needs the support as well. It's an
You should try
emotional
to date
time.
your partner, basically, and your spouse.
Of
You should
course.
at least once a month. It's very difficult, but you should try to make time.
Exactly.
So,
That's
at
actually
least in my experience.
that was actually one of the questions I have is like, do you ever find time to like, have just like a date night just for like the two of you, like once a month, like anything like that, where it's like,
Yeah, it's not that you find it. It's more of like we talk to each other and we're like, okay, we really should do this. Let's start
okay,
doing it. So it's like a
right,
conscious effort to say, okay, we have 10 minutes here. How are you doing? What's going on? How are you feeling? How can I help you? Kind of thing.
that's great, man. I
And
mean, that's
sometimes just anticipate people, your partner's needs, and just trying to really get to know them too. Because honestly, if you're raising kids, and I don't know if you guys are planning to have kids or stuff, but like honestly, as much as you want to do stuff with your kid or whatever else, if you have kids, your partner is going to influence their life as well. So you want to kind of get each other on the same board as much as possible, or at the very least understand where your partner is coming from. So
of
if they
course.
say something to your kid, you know how the kid might perceive it and how to like negotiate or like talk about You know what I'm saying? Like if you go through life and you're like, oh, the kid feels this way, your mom said it's like, yes, but this is the way your mom or your dad actually feels. You might have felt this wrong. My point is, if you get to know your partner more as you're raising a kid or kids, it makes it's kind of like the Eagles. You can go Cowboys, but like if you're gonna join the Eagles, you have to go like all in. There's no
Right, right.
half-hearted stuff. It's like this is team us. Let's do it. And we have to do it. There's no doubt. If you want to have this kid, you got to go all in. There's no half. It's not poker. You can't half bet it. It's an all in or nothing kind of deal. So
Exactly. Good analogy. Great analogy, by the way. I like it.
so that's kind of against your question. Yes, we do make time. Some months are harder than others. He's still kind of young, kind of hard to do. But when he does sleep, because he's starting to sleep a little more, we try to we at least we'll watch like a show at night together every few days or so,
That's
once a week or
awesome.
so.
Sometimes that's all it takes, just
Yeah.
a little bit of time here and there, even if you can't go out, just some time for
Yeah.
time for you and your
Yeah.
partner to spend some time.
And sometimes the partner just needs time alone by himself too. So
Yep, completely understandable.
because
Yep,
they could be stressed, and you're like, all right, just do your thing. You go. I got this. We don't need to see each
Right.
other. You're fine. You need to work on yourself. That's fine.
Yep,
It's
everybody needs some
important to
you.
have that with your
But
partner.
again, you gotta
and
negotiate.
balance some things.
Yeah, you gotta find what your partner needs and like work with like what they expect, what their feelings are about it, and if they're giving something up because they think you want it, you should be clear and say, no, you do it. It's fine. You're not hurting my feelings. I appreciate you caring about me, but you gotta stop.
Yep, effective.
They're hard conversations. That's all. It's
Yep,
just navigating life, but it's hard.
yep. But effective communication is obviously very, very important. This, you don't.
Well, you can learn to swim or drown, so I
Yep.
recommend swimming. That's basically what relationships are like. Just learn.
Exactly.
There is no try. You just do
There's
it.
no try.
You
You
give
kind of
up
swim
or
with
you
your friend, you
try.
kind of
There's
go with it,
no in
right? You go with the
between.
flow. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not trying. It's all
Because
in.
if you're bad at it, you're always going to be bad at it until you learn how to talk to your partner.
Right.
Learn what they like. Learn how they like talking. What do they, There's things
Absolutely.
you'll keep learning. There's even in any relationship, you'll keep learning things about your partner. You'll learn weird things about your kid too. It's not weird, just things you never knew they did. It's like, oh, that's fun. You do that. That's a personality.
Yeah. I mean, in a
So
way, having a child it's another relationship. It's I mean, it's obviously somebody you're responsible for, but it's another
well,
relationship.
I mean, anything the kid does, I can see good and bad things about myself and good and things about my spouse as well.
True.
But I try to bring out the good in both of us and try to negate the bad.
It's a good way to look at it. Very good way to look at it.
Try to re-encourage with more good than bad because bad thoughts tend to stick longer. It's
Yeah.
just they're easy. It's harder to get over bad experiences than good experiences. I mean, you can check Reddit or Yelp if you don't believe me.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's in life. That's in life too. It's just
yeah.
in life, we tend to dwell on the negative so much, and that's the problem. The negative definitely sticks.
It's
More
not
so.
good if you're
Yeah.
a parent. You have to. It's hard. It's really hard. I know. Live with depression for a long time, but you gotta not.
Yeah.
Can't do it. You have to. You have to force yourself and think about more positive things.
Exactly.
Because no matter what you say or what you do, your kid will feed off it as well as your partner.
Yep. Definitely.
Especially in their pregnancy, they feed off emotion.
Yep, and I've seen
So
it personally with I don't have any kids yet, not yet. I do want kids, don't have kids yet, but I've seen it personally. You can tell that someone's attitude it definitely rubs off and affects their children,
right.
especially if you're around them all the time. It's just
Yeah.
that's how it is. Their minds are like especially when they're very very young. Their mind is like a sponge. They're gonna take in all the information.
Hey man, it's having kids. It's like
Yeah.
you get it. I don't know if you believe in Christianity, like some fathers about allegories about God and things like that nature sometimes, but like you're like, oh, I get that authority. I get that look, that discipline. I understand now when people say stuff like, if you see like other workers and you're like, oh, you're like that way because of, you know, or you can see how like you can talk to other adults because you're like, I know how to talk to children.
Right.
I can get to your emotional core. And if you can talk to adults at their emotional level, you can probably handle children pretty well.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true.
Of course.
If you're open about who you are. You don't want to
Definitely.
lie about
Yourself.
you don't want to
Right.
lie about yourself. You want to be very open about your intent.
Of course.
Confusion is not helpful for anyone. That's in work and then it's parenting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely. And a lot of
And
people
honestly,
struggle with being open and honest.
first month of parenting, don't sleep at all. No time for confusion. I'm already confused as it is. Like, I don't know if I'm having a conversation or sleeping half the time.
Yeah.
That's what it was like. You're like, are you here or am I sleeping?
Exactly. Yo,
It's like
John, I don't got kids, right? I can relate a little to what you just said, though, just for a
Yeah.
second. Because when my sister first had her first daughter, right, it was kind of like I was back in the day. Like I was like 24 then. I remember,
Right.
like, you know, at one point in the living with us for like a year, and it was kind of hard. I mean, you know, the kid starts crying middle of the night, bro. You know, you're
Yep.
a father or a mother, you know, depending on what your
Yep.
gender is. You know, I mean, it can be definitely challenging, man. But you know, it's like you said, it can be the biggest joy, but at the same time, you know, you'll definitely reshape your changes. So it kind of makes you like see who you kind of are, and also what you got to do to, you know, to be a better parent or just kind of step it up. I mean, you know, no such thing as bad parents when you start, man. You can be young or older, you know. I mean,
No,
it's always gonna be
it
you're
doesn't
a new
matter.
parent, you know. Yeah, it doesn't matter, right?
It's a choice. It doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with age. It's a conscious decision to be present.
Exactly.
Not a lot of people can do it.
Nah.
Many people can do it. I just don't think a lot of people
You complain a lot.
know that they have a choice.
Right. That's
You
absolutely
can. If anyone ever is out there and has kids and like or is had thinking about it and stuff, it's
for sure.
if you're with a partner and you're having plans with that person, you want to make sure you guys are like on the same foot
Definitely.
because you need to have a good franchise to build a team.
Absolutely. That's another good analogy.
If your coach is bad, it's gotta go. It's gotta go.
Yeah, I mean, you saw with the Eagles. You saw with the Eagles this week. What, they ran the ball twice and they threw the ball like 50 plus times. I'm like, well, that comes down to coaching. So it's like if the
Don't
coach
start
is,
in that game, dude. That was.
coach is
I mean,
bad,
they had a nice touchdown though. That was a nice throw. He ran it through it, but we were way too. We were never in the game. We're too behind because we had like what two nice touchdowns.
I don't know.
So I was watching it too, man. That game.
Yeah, so it's relatable. It's relatable, and it's you're right. If the coach is bad, it's like, hey, what do you think's gonna happen?
Well, it's like jobs too, right? You could fire the person, or if you kind of like them, it's like your partner too. It's not the same because they're different. It's more personal, right?
Right, obviously.
Unless your relationship isn't personal, in which case you might want to reevaluate your life decisions and decide if you're serious about that person. Just a forethought before having kids. Maybe you want to make sure you're serious about that person if you're gonna have kids with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Not talking from experience, but
if you're gonna lay down and have kids with them,
what I've seen, you know.
Yeah, I mean I have people that are having kids, you know, in their 30s and their 20s, and I also had have a couple good friends that had kids when they were 18 years old. You know, I mean, but
one of my best friends, he had kids when he was like 20. So
I know guys that kids at 16, 17.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, my
you
one
can
friend.
Do it.
Yeah, it's definitely possible.
You need to set goals.
Of course.
You need to be like, okay, at this year I'm accomplishing this. I'm getting this cert, or I'm getting this degree, and then I'm going to do this job, and then my aim is to do this, and then my job is to do, you know, so on and so forth.
Exactly.
If anything, being a parent like helps you focus on what you really want.
You have to grow.
Yeah.
You have to decide. You're like, okay, well, I can't accept all the $10 an hour jobs all the time because it's not realistic. So how do I grow myself to keep improving exponentially?
Yep. Because I mean,
or if I'm good at painting, I'll start my own paint company or something. You know.
Exactly.
Just
and if you don't have
anything you can to float and start swimming. You're gonna float until you start swimming, basically.
The greatest thing is we live in America. You know, you can develop your skills. You can develop your skills and like when you develop your skills, you know, you can apply for, you know, higher paying jobs depending on whatever or you might already have the skills for it, but you never ever recognize like it's somewhere else in your life, you know?
You have to believe in yourself, and it's helpful to get a partner who believes in you if you don't believe in yourself.
Definitely.
And trust them. Trust their opinion if they believe in you.
Exactly.
till you
Because
start believing it.
sometimes you just need that second person. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because sometimes it can be very easy to doubt yourself. But when you have somebody else in your corner, ultimately it can be very, very beneficial. Agreed.
Yeah. So it just depends in your situation, but
Yep.
you can
Definitely.
survive anything. There's always a way.
Of course. I was gonna ask, I know this is very, very general, but what is one of the most rewarding things would you say of being a father? Like so far
I mean,
through
I,
the months.
I mean, besides the fun of dressing little kid in like tuxedos and stuff, which is really funny, and top hats, it's very amusing. Watching a little kid in like a little suit and tie, it's very amusing.
It is.
Besides the funness of making your kid laugh, or you know, stressing out about if he's gonna like run into the wall or something.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think I don't know. I think it's just seeing the personalities of like all the influences that you had no control over and that you do have control over between yourself and what you learned through hereditary thing and like your own social upbringing, how you can see your own family through the kid, and then you can see all the benefits of your partner and some aspects of their family's personalities, because your kid, it won't. And like, I think this also, like, it depends. Like, I think it depends on some of the stuff is it applies to even if you are uh like someone's stepfather or something,
Right.
where you can still experience and still see stuff like um how your interactions are changing them, are influencing them, and how like you can see they're picking up on things if you teach them, and you can watch them and you're like, okay, I can teach you how to do things better. um I guess it's kind of like, I don't know, outside of the franchise, I think we use too much like watching Eagles, which I don't know, they need some serious parenting or something. I don't know what's happening with them. Besides them, I think it's more like, it's like growing. It's almost like the people who enjoy like gardening a lot, like really growing like vegetables or like kiwi. The amount of excitement you get when thing you're working on and like you're trying to nourish and encourage is getting better, and it's like healing. And
Yeah.
like the nerve-wracking experience of watching it get sick and then get better is like all relieving. It's like relieving, like, oh, you didn't die. Oh, you're not dead. Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God.
Right,
All
right.
this time invested. I can't do this. It's too
Right.
much.
Right. A parent's worst
People are
nightmare
like,
when their
are you
kid gets sick.
emotional? It's like, yeah, I'm emotional about the. Sorry, I dropped my phone. I was like, yeah,
That's
I'm
okay.
emotional about the kid, but like it's time and effort, and I want you to do better because I've already invested so much time and effort
Exactly.
into it. So I think the
True
most
that.
rewarding part is just like watching the kid get better and like grow and like become intelligent.
Right. And you're like, it feels good because, like, as a father, you're like, wow, like I can see him picking up on
Makes
certain
you
things.
proud, right? You're
Or
proud
if
to be
you're
responsible for
disciplining
that.
and like trying to help him, like, don't do that, and he listens, you're like, which is a rarity.
Yeah.
Kid listen to you. You're just like, oh, thank goodness. You
I'm,
took
ass-
some solid advice. You took advice.
I'm assuming at how young he is too. You're like, it's a
Yeah.
rarity that they listen
You're like,
for sure.
no, it's like, I'd recommend you don't touch the outlet. It's like, ha,
Yeah, yeah. It's like, yeah, it's not
you're
gonna
like,
not gonna.
I think it's amusing a little, but I'm not amused. No, I'm not
Yeah,
amused at all. You don't, even if you think something's funny, you don't. At least that's my parent. It's a parenting skill thing, I guess. Like, I don't think it's always good to. It's your personal preference to, like, laugh when
right.
it's clearly it could bite you back in 5 years, and you're like, it's funny that you do that, but I don't want you to eat the cat litter. I don't want you to do that. I
Yes, I've said
recommend good hygiene. Thank you very much, kid. So I guess that answers your question about, I don't know.
the rewarding
It's
side
complicated.
of
It's a
it.
lot of good things,
Yeah,
but
yeah, it's
yeah.
general. I was also gonna say the other side of it. I know we talked a little, but like through 10 months, what would you say is some of the most challenging things? I know it goes in stages. So, obviously when they're in the newborn stage, the baby stage, the toddler stage, and then they grow. So far through your experience, what would you say is like a couple of the most challenging things? It's very rewarding, but there's some obviously going to be some things that are challenging as well.
True. Yeah, man, challenge. A lot of challenges for sure, right?
Yeah, I mean,
We're
it's a
gonna find
challenge
that one
for
day.
everybody.
We're gonna find that one day.
Well, I think overall, because being sleep deprived isn't really, I guess, it's a challenge. It's not really a challenge. That's just life, right?
Yeah.
Being sleep deprived is just life. It's just, and
Sometimes we're
every
sleep
kid's
deprived
different.
before the
Every
kid comes.
person's different. Some people have kids that wake up every 20 minutes. Some people have kids that wake up every 4 hours. And it's random, right? Sometimes it's because they're
course.
teething early, they're teething late. I don't know. It depends. I think the most challenging thing, and I guess it's good because I had a fairly stressful, not stressful childhood. I had a lot of challenges in life growing up with like epilepsy and other problems, right?
Okay.
But I think, and like the anxiety of like, is my kid gonna have problems like me? How do I help them not have problems like me? Is there a way to stop it, or is it hereditary?
Right.
Is there nothing you can do about it except give advice, kind of thing? So that's hard too. I think
Absolutely.
the hardest part, and I'm fairly certain it'll probably be throughout my life, is learning and being consistent and showing great patience with your child and your partner or spouse, like in your marriage or your relationship, showing great fortitude and patience for whatever's going on and not being angry, like being very slow to anger. I think
That's
it's
a
the
great
hardest
point.
thing. But I think if you can do it, I think it's very helpful
Mm,
because you're good at diffusing situations that are very stressful. And
yes.
from my experience, the kids they just because they feel the emotion, if you're duressed, which is why the first month is hard, 2 months is hard because you're not sleeping at all, and that's why your spouses or partner who is pregnant or whomever is probably stressed too. The less you
Yeah, man.
sleep, the more emotionally heightened you are. So trying to be calm during a very emotionally heightened state is very difficult, and not yelling and not raising your voice like ever.
Yeah,
Like
man.
you do it, but you don't want it to be a habit because if you do
Yeah.
it all the time, you're gonna keep scaring your kid.
Exactly.
You can see it. You're like, oh, geez, I
Yeah. And
shouldn't do that.
exactly. It makes sense. When you're thriving off of very, very little sleep, obviously, it can make you very, very irritable. So it's just finding that balance of
So
like
like
being able
digging
to,
in, yeah, it's like having a great amount of fortitude
yes.
to
And I
be
feel,
able to handle the stress. People are like, you stressed at work? I was like, I'm never stressed at work. I could work on Wall Street. I would not be stressed at work compared to how stressed I am at all.
yeah.
It's not even the same, not even remotely the same amount of stress.
Yeah.
It kicks your butt. Like you're always mentally exhausted.
Yeah. Because
Always.
a job, like you could always, I mean, I'm not trying to say like it's super easy, but you can always like switch careers or go to another company. Like when you have a child,
You don't quit.
yeah, it's
It's an
there ain't no
ongoing
quitting.
job. You have nothing. You can't stop. You just
Yeah, there isn't any
volunteer.
quitting.
You're part of it now. You're part of the corporate team.
Exactly.
It's different
Uh,
for a job. You can't just like
That's
change your kid. I mean, but you gotta change approaches though. How
I
you
joke
how
about
you
it
educate
sometimes.
your
Like,
kid.
we got an RMA for this thing. We got an RMA for this thing. But I was like, I like my kid. I'm
Right.
happy he's alive and well. But you're like,
Yeah, yeah.
I would have quit this job a long time ago. I would have quit this job.
Exactly.
I was like, this is not worth the
If I had this
stress.
type of stress from a career job, yeah, I would have
And I
quit a
work for
long time ago.
free. And I
Yeah.
work for free. Jeez
Yeah,
Louise.
we do it for free. And it's the long term reward is obviously, seeing the young man or the
Live.
young woman
Yeah.
that they
Being
come
alive
into.
is very rewarding. 10 months, like,
Yes.
yes, you're alive
Yeah.
still.
It's like I made it
Best.
through. I
Those
powered
3 months,
through.
man. You're not sure. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
You're questioning.
I
You're
got big
questioning
hands. I
yourself.
don't know. I don't know if I can make it.
Definitely. I'm assuming the
You
lots of
gotta like
coffee.
hold them like super fragile.
Yep. Exactly. I've seen people that like I've known that were like super immature, and like as soon as they have a child, like everything flipped. Like they became super responsible and just
Well,
like
you can go to
yep.
jail if you're not. So there's that.
Exactly. Of course. So you're gonna have to
That's the
responsible up real quick.
that's the thing, Stephen George. You know, if you're not, you can go to jail. So
Yeah.
make your choice.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And then I would assume lots of early mornings and lots of coffee. I'm assuming.
Yeah, how does that work?
Coffee ruins your
Walking in the
stomach
morning.
after a while. You got to be real careful with that. You know,
True.
get that
True.
reflux going on. It's not great. It's not,
Yeah. Too
just
much
honestly,
coffee.
it's not good. It's not good.
Exactly.
Actually, more vegetables and apples, like apples and vegetables and fruits,
Great
and
point.
turmeric, and like
I like turmeric.
rinsing your eyes with cold water, cold face, just to keep you up. Yep.
Oh yeah, that's what I do
And
early
being
in the morning.
prepped at a notice, like I've done that already. At like you're sleeping for like the first 2 weeks or so, and then like your kid gets really sick or something, and like you need to drop what you're doing and drive like an hour or 30 minutes, 40 minutes to go to like a hospital, you know, and then wait there for hours, not knowing if it's fine,
Exactly.
and just be awake. Like
I like your point there about
2 in the morning, and then go
yeah.
to work at like 5. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I gotta be up in 3 hours. It's like, oh well, guess I'm
And
not sleeping.
debating if it's a good day to call up for work or if you should keep working. Yeah.
Yeah, the thoughts that goes on in the mind of
Weighing the pros and cons. Is it worth my sanity to
it's
do
like,
this? Is
which
it?
one should I do?
And
Yeah,
how
that was
much do
actually
I need this?
exactly. There's actually a good point on the fruits though. The apple. Fun fact, guys, like actually an apple, and that it has so much natural caffeine in it. It actually will wake you up. An apple.
Dark chocolate helps too.
Yeah.
It does help too. Helps the heart. Keep it going.
Yeah, I was about to say that. It's good. It's actually good for your heart.
Yeah.
It obviously
I mean, I can't stop. I tried stopping coffee before kids, and even during it. I have enough of an addiction that like the headache between not sleeping and coffee is just too much. So
yeah.
and like the health benefits from what I researched, not super beneficial to not drink coffee.
Yeah, the only real thing
Unless
about
you have really
coffee,
bad reflux. So
yeah, coffee can be known as an appetite suppressant. That's the only thing. Like if you're trying to lose
Yeah,
weight,
gives your appetite, sure.
coffee's beneficial as
Yeah.
an appetite suppressant ultimately.
Caffeine.
well, when you're busy buying food for your kid, maybe it is better because you're giving up food some days to feed them.
Yeah. It's
So-
like okay, you're gonna take what I okay. It's like you can have it.
And they like eating what you eat. So if you can eat good stuff, it helps. If you're like, fine, fruits and vegetables only. There you go.
It's usually how women are too. Sometimes it's like like it's like, oh, what do you want to eat? Nothing. You get something. Okay, I want some of that.
Yeah, you can be that way too.
So,
Sometimes you can be that way.
I mean, as a father, you're setting the example most of the time. So
Yeah.
that's your responsibility. Like that's what I've learned, and my responsibility to just set the mood, like set anything, right? You're like, okay, it's your responsibility to set the. How stressful is this situation going to be? How calm are we going to stay? So, hey, it makes you a great manager. It makes you great. You're good at handling people.
You're gonna put that on.
Handle my kids. Okay.
You're gonna put that when you apply for a job. It's like, oh, we need 3 to 5 years of managerial
I'm
experience.
super
Hey,
calm.
I'm a father. Hey, I'm a father.
Super calm.
I'm a father. I got patience.
Yeah, it's like
I have patience for days.
You got a lot of patience, bro. I'll give it to you, man. You talk real calm. I guess it's you know how it is. When you become a dad, man, a lot of things, like I said, patience definitely, you gotta have more patience.
Fortitude.
Well,
I have a
here's
little
the
patience.
thing, right? Here's the thing. If say if one of the partners are having a very stressful and they're not calm, if the other partner's also not calm, no one's calm, and you're not sleeping for over 12 hours. So
Oh
if
my
you
God.
don't want to deal with screaming and nightmares all the time and like constant, insomnia, which is fun, but not that fun.
So I got insomnia.
It's a little fun. It's not, looking like Insomnia with what's his name? That Christopher Nolan movie with oh my gosh, Robin
With Al
Williams.
Pacino,
Al
Robin
Pacino, yeah.
Williams. Robin
Al
Williams.
Pacino's just like, where am I? What's happening? You're like
Insomnia,
that
the
every
movie. Yeah,
day.
yeah, yeah. The
What's
movie.
happening?
Even The Machinist is like that with Christian Bale, but that movie's
Yeah,
obviously a lot,
yeah.
that movie's a lot more dark. But there's a reason why he's got
The
insomnia.
Machine. Yeah, yeah.
It's
I
not a
thought he
good
should have got rid of that fridge a long time ago. Watch that movie. Just get rid of it.
Yeah. It's
Problem
like
solved.
it's like that fridge is freaking you out. Get rid of it.
Don't like it? Throw it out. Weird things in your house? Throw it out. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's like
I
yeah,
got
we
time
don't.
for nightmares or
It's
ghosts.
like I don't need that type of I don't need that type of negative energy in my life.
I've come to the point where if a ghost actually were real and they were like hunting my house, I'd be like, all right, you better be mowing the lawn or something because this isn't cutting it. You can't be here if you're not contributing to the team effort. I don't care you're hunting my house, but you better start hanging stuff up. I'm getting sick of you knocking things over. I'm getting sick of it. It's not cool.
Exactly. It's like yeah, it's
You're
not.
like, are you scared? No, I mean I'm impatient. I got no time for your ghostly stuff.
Yeah, I'm irritable. I don't got time for this. It's like I haven't slept.
I'm a dad. I got
regularly.
time for this. I got time for this.
Yeah, it's
We're
like I
in a
haven't
game of
slept
poker
regularly.
here. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Another challenge thing. I know people always like say like this is. I mean, this is just as a responsibility as a father, but changing diapers is obviously like a big responsibility, and like a lot of people like I know like I've actually seen this happen even between spouses. They're like, oh no, it's like it's your turn to change the diaper. No, it's your turn to change the diaper. It's like fighting over like who changes diapers. But then there's other people that it's just like, you know, they pick it up like it's nothing. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, this is my child. This is my
They gotta,
responsibility.
yeah. Who changes diapers? It's like a competition. Who does
It
it?
just depends.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times my spouse ends up changing because I'm just not always around because I'm working or something.
Right.
For a while there, we were going back and forth, and then like for like a few weeks there, I had like really bad reflux reactions to number two, and she's like,
Right.
"Okay, I'll just change." I was like, "I'm getting really sick." I'm like, "You're lucky because she had like she like growing up and stuff in high school or like in college, she like did a lot of like because she was like a teacher, so she did a lot of like babysitting kids and stuff. So
Understandable.
she doesn't bother her sinus. I can taste it in my mouth.
That's
I
how
was
bad. It's like
like,
yeah, some people it's worse than others,
so
obviously.
if I have to, because I have changed them, which isn't like the worst thing ever. Sometimes it is. Some poops are just like, ugh.
Yeah, it's like it's unbearable.
I was like, so I guess the best advice I can give to anyone who's faced this situation is don't breathe when doing it, or take short breaths.
Short
Kind of like
breaths.
changing a clean up a dog throw up, and
True.
just short breaths and hold. Don't breathe. Don't go. Don't do that.
Yeah,
Don't do
don't
that.
take it in.
You know how like like a whiskey, you see people sniff it. You're not supposed to sniff it because you
Right.
get like buzz. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Definitely don't do that. And keep your mouth closed. Always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen,
Good advice.
mother-in-law, right? She did not keep her mouth closed. She went to help. Boy peed right in her mouth.
Oh,
I was
yeah,
like,
that's
that's
a
on
mistake.
you.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
knew from day one. Mouth
I've
shut
heard
always.
I've heard people that happen too. Yeah.
You only open mouth once diaper has been closed.
Hey, you learn the hard way.
I'm like, you had 2 girls. You should know. But I don't know what you doing. I don't know.
Right.
You
Yo,
obviously
yo,
have
Challenge.
kids.
I got 2 questions for you. 2 quick questions, then we can kind of
Yeah.
continue this convo
Yeah.
up. So number one, was number one. Oh yeah, number one, right? So what about like when you're dealing with a kid? I mean, you said yours is about 10 months, right? So it's
Yeah.
obviously still, younger side. But, like as they grow, right? And it's something like I had to do as an uncle that has like nephews and nieces and all that. But it was a little different. Did you like sort of like when they kind of want to have their way and they whine a little, when they're about like like a certain age, or even like when they're more little, they could kind of cry about something. Do you kind of like try, like sort of like talk to them a certain way, or do you kind of like just kind of let them do the thing, and then when you see them calm down, you go and like say for example, if you want to take a toy away, he's crying, do you kind of wait for him to kind of or her to calm down, or do you kind of like you have a method of dealing with it?
I mean, that's really up to like parenting styles too, right? Because like it depends on how you want your kid to behave.
Right.
All right. Like it's like anything. It's anything. You're training things to do better, do certain things. It depends on what they're doing, right? If they're trying to put their tongue in the outlet, I'm definitely not going to let them.
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to go to the hospital. Sometimes it's like,
Yeah.
you want you're
Right.
being nice, and sometimes it's like a little bit of selfishness, but like loving in a way where you're like, there's no place open at 1 a.m. We're not going to the ER.
Right.
That's an expensive bill. No. Stop trying to lick the outlet.
Yeah.
Now.
Sometimes
There is no outlet. So you put like a
outlet, yeah.
box in front of it, you say stop. The problem is my kid's and obnoxiously intelligent sometimes. So he'll open things you didn't think he should be able to open. You're like, what? How did you open that? I just
I've
he like
seen
put it
it.
in his mouth and like turns it. I was like, what? You can
They're a lot
open
smarter than look,
baby-proof
yo.
stuff?
The kids are a lot
Oh
smarter
my
than they
god!
seem. Right. Open up
I'm like,
things and stuff.
nothing's
Yep.
safe in this house. Nothing's safe.
It's like,
Yeah, it'd be their way.
Look,
And
it
my
got to
number
the
two.
point that we had a TV and it broke before, like when we first moved into this house. I bought a projector. My friend bought a projector, mounted it on a shelf, and like put a projector on the side of the wall so he won't knock the TV over. So he's nowhere near it, and then hid the projector behind like the couch I'm sitting on, basically. So it's like all the wires. You're like, no, he never goes over here. We put gates everywhere. Yeah, it just depends, George. Like I guess in cases where like they were throwing a tantrum, you would let them because I'm like, I'm not gonna reward, horrible behavior.
yeah,
As like my parents didn't. Like, if I was being I guess you'd say like a brat or something, like when you're like 8, 12 years old or whatever else, or like it's all about me. You're like, okay, well, I'm not helping you because you're clearly being selfish. You're clearly being, it's like, okay, well, because you don't want to teach them that. You don't want to teach them as they grow up and become adults that their selfish ways are not always the best thing.
right.
Sometimes it is. Like
Right.
sometimes, like it's a balance, right? It's a balance between having ambition versus being completely narcissistic, right?
Yeah,
Because I don't want my kid
yeah.
to be a narcissistic monster.
Right,
I want
right,
them to care about people a little bit at least. Like,
right.
so, like or I pretend to care at least. Like consider people's feelings if they don't actually understand it. Try to understand them. Like, put effort
Exactly.
in. So it depends, George. Like I let them do if he's like throwing a tantrum about. If it's like you're putting the bed for the 6th time and throwing tantrum, and you've already covered your bases, like make sure it's not a stomach, or like make sure the stomach doesn't bother them or teeth don't bother them. They're just like complaining, right? Like if your kid's mad because of their teeth hurt, you're like, okay, well I want to find out, are you mad because your teeth hurt, or are you mad because I told you go to bed?
Right.
So
Exactly.
I'm sure you've seen some stuff as an uncle because I've been an uncle for a while too. So it's similar. You just get more of a final say. That's the
Exactly. Yeah.
difference.
As the parent,
You
yeah, as
you
the
move
father.
from supervisor to store manager. Basically, you're like
That's a good
no,
analogy.
that's it. There is no, and I don't like using words no because I've read a lot and like people tend to develop psychological negativity and things around it. So I choose I try to put effort in to choose my words more effectively. Like
Right.
do this instead. You're like let's do so and so. The outlets are dangerous. Explaining your reasoning, right? If you pursue this, you will hurt yourself.
Yeah,
But you
it's not
can't
going to be
ration
pretty.
with a 10-month-old. So you're just making the decision for them and saying, I'm sorry, but you don't know what you're talking about. And you're clearly a danger to society and yourself. So you have to stop, like now.
Yeah, it's like
I
can't
would
ration
love to
on
let
them.
you do whatever, but you clearly are not responsible enough to not lick the outlet. So you clearly are not, because you want to explore things through your mouth, which is fine. It's a kid, right? It's what they do. It's
They're
totally fine.
curious. They're curious. They're like cats.
But you're a parent. You know more. So you're like, I'm telling you, you're gonna hurt yourself. You must stop. So yeah, if that answers your question, I think
Yeah.
it's yeah.
Do you have people that'll try to like interject like your parenting methods and like try to offer you advice? I know a couple girls who told me that they're like, they have people in their family. It's like, they will offer good advice, and there's other people like, they're like, well, this is how I raised my kid. And they're like, thank you for your advice, but I'm also going to raise my kid how I want to raise my kid. I know that there's like a lot of times when people have kids, like there's all different types of information coming from like all different ways.
There's
a lot of different perspectives.
Like variation upon variation of personalities and people, and every child's different. Every parents are different. It's not like if it was that easy. Wow, I would love it. If there was like do this and the kid will go to sleep. Really? Yeah. If you sing Cucaracha, he'll go to sleep every time. Well then, I'll sing Cucaracha all day long.
Exactly. There's not one straight line. There's not one straight line method. Like
that would be easy and be great.
More than one
and method, schooling system would work well, like across the board, if that was the case, which it doesn't. So clearly not the case.
It's like, this is a foolproof system. This is a foolproof system. This is how it's going to work.
If I knew I could go fishing once a day and I would guarantee make $1 million, yeah, of course I'd go fishing once a day.
Right, exactly. I'll fish twice a day.
That's not how life and parenting work. It's not how that works.
Exactly.
I guess more serious note is you could get upset about it if you choose to, or you can choose to, when people give you advice or talk about things, to just be like, thank you for your words. I will consider it. Because sometimes it's always used. Sometimes even if it's not applied to you, it's useful as an option to think about. And I think any wisdom is useful, even if it doesn't apply. To like think about it, say, I'll think about it. I might incorporate that. Because honestly, if you're living life like saying, I'm going to raise my kids this way all the time,
right?
Confrontational isn't really a good way to manage family all the time.
Right.
I'm just saying, personal experience is not the best approach. And that's like friends too. You don't always want to fight your friends, even if you disagree with them, because then you don't have friends.
Right. No, I agree. You can always be like, okay, help me understand.
You want to be a little diplomatic. Like, please explain what you're saying to me. What do you mean?
Yes. Agreed.
I think a better way is if you said it from the outset, saying, like, if you're say if your in-laws or your brother or your uncle or whatever else, if you have rules and you're like, I do not want my kid playing with phones for like more than 15 minutes a day, just be upfront about that from the outset, saying, I believe it's better for my kid to choose creativity this way. From everything I read and that I've seen, I don't want them to be addicted. So please, you can't always control it. You can get mad about it, or you can just kind of like, work with it as it goes. So, it's like a diplomatic kind of thing. You're a little bit of politician, a little bit of manager, a little bit of science experiment. It's just a little bit of skills everywhere. A little bit.
Yeah, you're a multi professional person in all different areas.
Right.
You're
can
a
you
cook,
do that?
you're
Probably. I don't know yet, but I probably could do it. Probably.
It's like you're a cook, you're a cleaner, you're a teacher, you got multiple jobs.
And some partners are better than others, right? Some partners, like your one partner, might be better at cooking than you are. So
of course,
you might want to lean on them to say, "You cook, I'll take care of the kid."
Yep. Yeah, you weigh out the strength. That's the thing. That's a good thing about a solid partnership, a solid foundation. It's like, each partner is good at, maybe you're both good at something, but then there's obviously going to be some spots where, one partner might be weak in that area, but then the other partner's strong in that area. And then when they're weak in another area, they're strong in another area,
Exactly.
It always is. Both partners will be the table, especially for the kid, mom and dad,
Yeah.
It's important.
Of course.
Hey, John, I didn't ask you, by the way. The second question was, do you have a son or a daughter?
I have a son.
I have a son. Okay. God bless, bro. 10 months. Okay.
Very excited. We both are very excited. We're like, yes.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
I mean, I'd be excited too, but yes.
That's definitely good for me. Yeah. They say girls love you more, but, it's always good. As a man, to have a boy, to kind of carry the name is always a good thing, So I think every guy that I know always wants to have a son. So,
well, it's not even just about carrying a name. It's about, like,
it's different if a son or daughter. It's good to spirit. I
feel like the adventurous heart of boys, like men.
Yeah, I feel like the stress that I would deal with,
exploration of wanting to do crazy stuff. I was like, I love it. But
yeah,
you're out of your mind.
Yeah, I feel like the stress I would deal with a daughter as she's growing up in the environments today, it's like,
See,
that's
I
Oh,
gonna be
just,
geez, don't bring it there. I know where you're
I,
going with this.
yeah, it's hard.
It's different.
yeah,
The
because
world's not different, guys. It's
Daughters
changed.
for you depends. Daughters tend to have strong connections with their father. So if you
They
want to be
definitely
a
do.
father, you gotta be like a
yeah,
father, like a
you really
solid
do.
father
You,
to
I mean, you
not
say
mess up the
it.
kid. And I
Yeah,
don't think it's possible to not mess up a kid. You could try. It's gonna be something, right?
yeah. There's not a perfect way to. Yeah, there's no perfect method like of how you can raise your kid. It's trial and error. I mean,
Right.
it's experience. It's experience. That's all it is. And
Yeah.
there's no perfect way. But yeah, I feel like it can be easier for a man to go out somewhere without without having to look over his shoulder. Whereas like women, like it's like they got to be careful no matter where they go because you just never know. Like a man can go into like a park and like go for a walk, and like a woman, it's like she goes into a park. You just
Sure.
don't
And
you don't know
that's
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 worrisome.
that's historically a thing, right? Like
Yep, it is.
it's even if everything was fine, and it a lot of times it is, but even if everything was fine and safe and stuff, there's always a sense of danger
Right.
because of it's a mix of a lot of factors. We can go into it, but it could get controversial, and I don't want
Yeah,
to. It's
exactly.
like
Yeah,
it's a mix of a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
of
I
things.
just want to
It's
make that
a
quote that I'm not trying to be
I don't really want
sexist or
to, George.
controversial.
I don't
I'm
want
just
to
saying.
blow up your podcast with a million views of this guy said this, and I just don't.
It's all right. Yeah, we're not gonna. We
Yeah.
won't get super into it. I mean, we do talk about some controversial stuff on here sometimes. I mean, hey, sometimes the truth just needs to be said. But I'm like,
Hey,
yeah,
no, it's totally fine. It's not that it's bad to talk about such a thing.
right,
I'm
right.
totally comfortable with it. Um, but it is a very multi-layered thing, and
Yeah,
I can only speak to my experience. And I also don't feel comfortable speaking on behalf of all women because
right.
I first am not a woman, and um, the emotional experiences and personal experience they have is different, and
Yep,
that's mixed between a lot of things, right? It could be strength, it could be just societal fears, because
yep.
there's a lot of
Very well
horror
said.
movies that make a point to say women are weak, and I know they're not in a lot of ways. Just men and women are good at good at things, and
Yeah,
every individual is good at a lot of different things.
yep, yep.
Like
Oh,
there's
very.
strong men, there's weak men, there's strong women, it depends on circumstance.
Yep, very well said.
Um, and because I know there are monsters out there, both of all individuals, I would
Hmm.
be fearful of going alone myself sometimes, a man, if we're being honest.
Yeah,
Like, I want to go down and destroy. I don't know about you, but I don't hang out in Detroit for fun.
yeah. It's
I don't.
yeah. I mean,
I don't go in Center City for the heck of it. What about you?
yeah, and it's just crazy. Like obviously it's a whole nother topic, but it's just like man or woman, like like now like trafficking is becoming even bigger of a thing.
Yeah,
It's like
you just
you gotta
try to make
watch
decisions
your
that are
surroundings.
try to be aware of yourself and your surroundings
Yeah,
in general, and that's anyone.
exactly. Always be aware.
So
So where your surroundings and everything.
I gotta
Agreed.
watch this guy George. He tried to trick you into controversial topics. Like, hey, I see you. You try to trip me up.
Yeah.
I see you. I see what you're doing
Controversial
there.
topics. Everything
And
becomes like a setup in a show, bro. Sometimes
no,
they
I
give
know,
you
I
pressure
know.
in the place, but
You
we
ever
gotta
see
keep it
those
away from controversial topics. This session was a great topic, bro. Honestly, people actually hit me up about this. Some people actually were excited. Young fathers or people that want to hear
yeah,
this topic because we never covered it, and it's a lot of great information right now, dude. It's like I'm trying to kind of suck a lot of this in. Some stuff you said, John, I heard other people say it, but some stuff it's like good perspective. So I'll like what I'm hearing.
yeah. Well, I think because your topic about women and like raising kids, I think as a dad, you're scared of that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
and that's even as your son and daughter. Like, I don't want my kids near any of that. Like, that's horrible. You can't shut them forever, but I want to arm them first. I want to make sure they know
Exactly.
how to defend themselves, and that doesn't matter if I had a boy or a girl. I would want to make sure they know how to defend themselves, and
How, how to
that's
defend themselves physically,
depending on what in any variation. If
and
they need to
then
physically,
learn
emotionally,
arms,
mentally.
if they need to learn argument, if they need to learn like how to attack someone or how to defend yourself, yeah, you
exactly.
know,
And
that could
then
be
also
anything.
mentally raise them to like just to be as
How
informative
to
as they
yeah,
possibly can. Yeah,
how to
inform.
avoid terrible situations, how to make decisions that are avoiding people and like decisions and groups that are like it's like it's not just groups, it's just like how to avoid dangerous situations if you can
Yeah,
help it.
mitigate the risk of anything
Mitigating your
happening.
risk basically. It's a management
Yeah,
system.
as
You just
much as you
mitigate your
can.
risk.
Exactly. And that's the most important factor, because obviously you're not going to be able to be there for everything. So when they're out by
Right.
themselves, that's what they're going to take with them.
Right.
You know,
And you would know as an adult, right? Like if people teach you and you're like, listen, you could go drunk and get crazy outside. But I recommend you don't, because if you lose your senses, you could find yourself in a very dangerous and precarious situation.
yep, 100%.
So I recommend never doing that. So what about you? It's like I
Exactly.
did to a little bit, but like never to the point that I lost who I was or where I was. That's not good.
I'm the
You don't
same
want to
way.
be blackout drunk. I'm just saying, you don't want to be blackout drunk in Center City or Detroit, especially
Yeah,
Detroit. You don't want to be. You don't.
yeah. I haven't gotten blackout drunk probably since like 2012. Like it's been
Yeah,
so long.
don't
I guess
you.
that's what I said.
Wow.
Like
It's
Blackout.
a dangerous thing.
My last blackout was 2014, guys. 26th birthday. Since then, I was like, I had a couple of rough nights, but nothing like that. I think I told you that, Steve.
could,
It was like
yeah,
I
could
don't have
2014.
time for it.
could
Clean
I don't have
blackout,
time
and
for it.
I was blacked out
Any
so
sleep
much,
I can
dude. I
get
was
is
like, I'm never
great.
gonna drink again.
Yeah, no.
everybody always said they're like, I'm not drinking again. It's like, and then they're drinking like the next
I
week.
mean, I drank again after that, but I was just,
But
trying to keep it more
but But yeah,
motivated.
no, I agree 100%. I like to be in control, and like not like an overbearing control, but just to understand where I'm at. Like I like to be aware of my surroundings when I'm out,
I
because
think it's more and more as you're a parent too, because you're
oh, of
like
course,
something could happen at any moment. And
yeah,
I was like that as an uncle to a degree too. Like in situations where I need it to be, or like a parent, you're like, if I need it, and that's from your parent to like your sibling or whatever your responsibility is in life, right? You're like, I should have my facilities about me so I can act immediately.
exactly.
That's why it's hard to get drunk or have a drink as a parent too, because you're like, if something happens, I need to be on my game like immediately.
Oh yeah,
So
of course,
there's
and
no
like
really time for that. I think at most I'll drink like a Yingling Oktoberfest or something.
yeah, and like a beer isn't really it's the odds of you
Over
like
like yeah.
yeah, of you getting like completely like even like a super
It
crazy
depends
buzz.
on the day too, right? Like it depends what time it is and like if there are other people around who are not drinking with you, you know. So it
Exactly, and then
depends your
like
body too. Some people don't handle beer well. Some people handle wine better. You know, it just depends.
yeah, it depends. Obviously, eating is important too. So, like, make sure you have some food in your system before you're
Yeah.
drinking a lot, obviously. But no, I get you completely. Like, obviously, if something happens and, you're not all there and you're not able to react quick enough, you're going to feel like you're going to feel completely responsible. And you are responsible, but
Well, it's not just that. Like your emotional, like, because if you're tired and you're drinking, like you're not there,
your
it could
ability to make
affect your like
decision making
decision making. Yeah,
completely.
and you don't want that. You want
No,
absolute decisions always. You're like,
right.
You have to
yes.
clear to make good decisions. Yeah,
Especially someone
bad
comes to you like, what
decisions.
should we do? Like, we're doing this. There's no wavering. You're like, why? It's the best course of action, and I'm sticking with
Yep.
it. I made a joke with someone like at work, or was working for another company. So someone's like, one of my friends was like, "What do you do?" I was like, "Well, see, in grade school, I used to care about whiteout and things, and like I saw someone use whiteout. They were commenting about using whiteout like the pen stuff. And I
Yeah,
was
right
like,
out. Yeah.
I used to be like that, but as an adult, I just live with my decisions now. I just live with my mistakes and move on. That's
On
the
your
adulthood
actions, on
side.
your
You
decisions.
make mistakes and you move on. You're like, okay, well,
Yeah, I mean, decision making failures. That's actually a great motto. Failure is a part of life, and decision making is as well. Just living with your actions. If we're afraid to fail, we're afraid to make decisions. Nothing ever gets done. Society would never progress if
Oh
people
yeah,
were afraid
we'll
all
never
the time.
flourish, right? If we never make decisions and be scared to fail, it will never flourish.
Yeah,
Matter of
that's the
fact, Steve, you
thing.
talk about this all the time. How if you don't take risks and do some kind of like not be afraid, you
Yeah,
never gonna go anywhere. I
yeah.
mean,
And it's a thing a lot of people don't do though. I've seen it where people are like, I made this decision. How do I go back? Because like you don't.
You can't dwell on. Yeah, no, I
No, I
know.
mean you could dwell on it, but you'll ruin you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can, but if you in order to be able to move forward, you have to just move forward. You can't. It's good to understand the lessons that you learned from a
Yeah,
past decision, but you can't sit there and live in that moment because you will never progress. Like it's just
yeah,
from my personal experience.
yeah. You have to
Yeah, you're
accept it
right.
and just say okay, and just move on. And that's
Yep.
anything, right? You could get fired from a job and be like, all right, why? If
Yeah,
you
you
can
can
tell
sit
me.
in you can sit in a rut for 5 years wondering why you got fired, or you can like see, okay,
Or you can
why did
say,
I get
this
fired?
is a
Learn
great
from the lesson.
opportunity for me to, or if it's like really bad, like,
To do better.
oh,
Yeah, to do better.
it could be a behavioral thing. It could be like, or people don't like you. You're like, okay, well, it's great for opportunity. I like myself. I believe in myself. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to, create a bakery or whatever.
That's good.
You're like,
That's
I
good.
believe in myself and we're going to make it happen. You make a decision. It's all, life is just decisions. That's all. It's
It really
nothing
is. And
crazy.
Yeah.
this is a little bit different from the topic, but it's like, I know, George, I think we talked about this on one of our networking episode on here. I took a job with a big corporate company. That was my first job actually outside of Lowe's. When I was working overnights,
Yeah.
and I took the job. I was there for a month or two in a call center. I'm like, this is not for me. And I have a mentor who's very, very successful. He's in his 40s. And he told me, he's like, there's no shame. And like, cause I had an opportunity to go back to Lowe's and then just to keep applying to jobs, working overnight and then going on
There's
interviews
no
during the
shame in
day,
going back.
right, to find the job that
No
I
shame at all.
actually wanted to do. And now,
Hmm.
like, I'm working in that career now. But the thing was, he's like, you know what, man, you're brave for doing it. He's like, because most people would just stick it out for more money in a career that they absolutely hate. He's like,
Hmm.
and work a job like that. That's the thing. Like, I just had to think it, and I'm like, I can't sit here and dwell on it. I just got to make the decision. But I was very lucky to have a mentor inside my corner, though. That's the thing, because
Yeah.
my mom and dad first were like, whoa, what are you doing? Like, see, they didn't really understand, but like, obviously, like, I had somebody in my
Right.
corner that had been there, and he's like, I had done it before myself, and he was very
Hmm.
successful, like, in terms of like happiness in his own career, and then also financially, he does very, very
Right.
well.
Right. You just have to know what you want. And if you
Exactly,
don't, just
Yeah,
think
that's your
about
own
it.
way. Yeah.
Try things.
exactly. That's the best way to do it.
Create hobbies. You don't like computer? Like, maybe I like engineering. Maybe I like electrical work. Okay, build an electrical box. Try a
Exactly,
project.
exactly,
Pick it up. Just
Yep.
do it. Don't even think about it. Just like, this is kind of fun. Try what you think is fun.
exactly.
Or you can tolerate it at least. Like if you're like,
Yeah.
I like it well enough. There's some days you don't like it, but I like what I do. You're like, okay, well then that's fine. And some
Right.
things,
Like,
some
bro,
jobs are like,
you're gonna love the job.
it's all rough
Or
job. Like it's
sometimes it says
like
that way.
like detective work, or like cleaning plumbs, like plumbers work. Like there's certain occupations that you deal with horrible things because you're dealing with people, and people are great and people are horrible in different ways, right? So, my point is, any job you take, there could be things about jobs that you like even your current job. If you hate your job, there could be stuff about it or certain people or certain interactions that you like, and I would recommend leaning into what you like about that kind of thing. If you notice you like managing people's problems or doing things, find another industry that you're doing that. Right? Right. So if you're like, I'm really good at negotiating, okay, well, why don't you learn more negotiation skills and try being like a professional negotiator or something,
Yeah.
or a mediator.
Immediate. I like that. Immediate.
Exactly. Yeah,
Right?
job
And
job that
there's
requires those.
always something. There's always something positive and something horrible.
Of course. Yep. That's actually very, very well
Even
said.
if it's the joy of leaving the horrible place. You're like, I love driving. I'll be a NASCAR racer. I love NASCAR racers.
Searching can be exciting too, bro. You find which you feel like it's better for you sometimes. I know me
Right.
and Marius, and even you, Steve. At one point, we're all three of us were kind of like job searching. And remember, we tried to do the job at Delco, by the stadium, home improvement was it? We all applied there.
Power home remodeling.
Now we're home remind. Well, one of your boys works there, so yeah,
Mhm.
we've been there before, bro. Job searching. You're right though, John. You got to really find kind of what your niche is. And you got to kind of find your calling, dude. And that's the thing. You're never too old in life. So you could be 34, 32, 30, 24, 21. If you feel
Yeah.
like you find your calling and it fits you,
Hey,
Hey,
have
man.
vision.
Hey,
Go for it.
and sometimes you're calling. Steve and I are talking about pre-show too about it. Like we're talking about jumping jobs. Sometimes it's like you do this for 5 years. You like this for fun. You want to try
Yep.
different industries for 5 years. It doesn't hurt doing that
You're not wasting
because
your
what
time.
ends up happening if you build like if you're like I like this, you can line up your 5 years building to be like a rounded thing of doing one. You can get a job that you never think you were gonna get, but because of and I was like so one of your gentlemen in your podcast before like a few weeks back, he was talking about how like he didn't think he was ever gonna be part of like the job he's in, but because of like all the decisions he made, working years here, years there, he built it up. Kind of like being like a project manager. Like you're like, oh, I just learned these skills because I was interested in them, and then I was interested in this job, so I took it, and I love it. Right? So it happens all the time. You just follow different passions.
Exactly. I know a lot of people who wound up like going to college and like they wound up never they don't use their degree. Like
Yeah.
some of them became cops, some of them went into trades, and that's okay. Like sometimes, I mean, obviously, you get into the depth, but I'm like even if like you learned along the way that like okay, it's better than being in a career that you absolutely hate for like
Well,
for the
the
rest of your
best
life.
thing about careers you don't like or enjoy, or there's no sense of self satisfaction or social satisfaction or any kind of sense, is you learn what you definitely don't want to do.
Right.
So there's that. You're like, okay, I know, like for myself, I know I don't love retail, and I will do everything in my power to not work retail. Or if I'm working retail, I'm going to take a job that's higher on the chain of retail.
Right.
Or I'm going to be the person running the retail store,
Right. Absolutely. Yeah,
like it's
everything's
your own
different.
retail place.
Good thing about a career is it's not like a
Exactly.
child. Like you can choose to leave. Like when you're a parent,
You can switch up.
tying back to the beginning, it's yeah,
And
you ain't
jobs are
got a choice.
different. The jobs are different now
Of
than they
course,
were
yeah.
like decades ago too. Like there's not a lot of loyalty in my experience. Like it's just like
In job
At
for you,
least
right, bro? You're definitely right.
you
There's not
have
much.
to treat yourself like
They're not
you're your own
considerate.
boss, and you have
Yes.
you're aiming for what you want, and you're there to learn a skill, and you're there to help them better their
exactly,
job too. It's
exactly.
a
Actually,
it's a you're like I'm a consultant. I'm here to help you, and I hope to learn some from you too. And once we feel like we reached a point where it's no longer needed to grow, I will move on. And
exactly.
that's
Four ways.
you know
In the U.S. that's very prevalent. Just not a lot of loyalty anymore. I saw in Japan. They're very very tight knit. Where you it's not completely odd to see an employee work for a company for 30 years. Like it all
right.
depends on the
Well, it's
culture.
the
Yeah, it
culture is
depends on the
different.
culture.
The culture is
Yep,
very much different
Different,
in
different
that way.
culture, boys. You can't compare
Yeah,
Japan. For real.
yeah.
Speaking of Japan,
absolutely.
There's
Depends
I
on
work
where
with
pros and cons
Japanese.
to both systems.
That's what
yeah.
I work for now. Japan is
So
different culture, bro. Everything that is different in America, there could be a taboo and vice versa. But they're
yeah,
very, I mean, they can be very loyal. They're also very like full of value, bro. Valueful and all that. I mean, they value everything. They're so precise about things. Like Japan is a super clean country. They're super up there. Like the economy is amazing in Japan.
yeah.
But it's
No,
always been that way.
they're a good
USA,
country.
Japan, Germany.
They're just different. Europe's
Yeah,
different. It's just different countries, different cultures. The
different
U.S. is
places.
different because it's a very, very mixed pot of cultures.
Yeah,
You're right
Um,
about that.
and a lot of your determination is from what you make of what the chips are given, right? I'm not saying everybody's hand is fair because that'd be naive. There are certain things that make life harder for others, and there are certain things that make things better for others. But I don't think it's a thing you can solve socially. It's just human nature. It's kind of hard to beat. But I still think it's better than where we were years like before the U.S., where like you know people were built into like not just caste systems, but like the strong would always be the winner. Where now you could not be the strongest person in the room and still navigate life fairly successfully. I know it's a little off topic, but that's part of parenthood too, trying to like
No, you
instill
good.
values and instill a sense of like integrity and trying to be true to yourself and how
yeah,
to better people up. So
yeah. Very very well said. I mean, yeah. Well, it's obviously different. You can tie things together a little bit. Sometimes
yeah,
your values. Agreed. Even though
yeah,
I'm not a parent. I mean, like I've seen it personally.
yeah. You don't need to be a parent to be a good influence, though.
Of
No,
course.
Like your friend, he could have not had kids. You just can be a helpful person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even accidentally.
Helps all the time.
Just being
It's always
honest.
good to be like that.
Just be honest.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. I guess this is a very informative episode. I think in like the next 5 minutes or so, because we've gone over the hour, we'll probably wrap up. But we
All right.
usually take like 5 minutes to just close off and everything, and just go over, I guess, like some last minute things. But man, a lot of value there, man. Thank you so much for opening up about your experiences and your lessons that
Hey, man.
you've gone through.
For sure, man.
I mean,
We
it's always
appreciate
going.
the
It's always changing.
always.
It was great to connect back with you on here too, man.
Yeah,
It's,
man.
it's a little bit, but
Yeah,
hey,
y'all got one day, get a beer, guys. You heard? Let's go out and chit chat a
yeah,
little.
I'll have to go out his way, yeah, because he doesn't live in Philadelphia anymore. He
Nah.
moved out the city, yeah. So
Where?
No, I was living in that New England life, but now I'm in those mountainous PA, like the Pocono life, you know.
Oh, you're in Poconos? Oh, even better. Then even better. You actually go out there so we can visit him. Say less, John. If you're the Poconos, we'll visit you, bro.
Your crazy
Yeah,
houses.
better. I mean,
yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
I was just up near Lake Harmony, like a little over a month ago. I think I told you that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I said, "Oh," she said, "Hi." I'm like 12 minutes away. I said, "Oh."
Yeah, you know what? My boy has that was my boy who I said has a house up to Poconos. It's not his primary house, like he lives in Philly, but they have one where they're gonna rent out. I'm like, hey, if I'm up there again, man, I'll definitely come visit.
I'll go to the Boulder Tavern with you at Lake Harmony or one of the other places over there. That's cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool spots up there. Actually, a lot of cool spots. Yeah, for sure.
I like it. I like living up here because I liked where I was before, and like I said before I thought about moving to New Hampshire, but this is where we are right now in life, right? Make your decisions. You can regret them, but you're like, all right, we'll see where this ride takes us. We'll see
we'll see where this roller coaster. We'll see where this roller coaster takes us.
But the cool part is because I'm used to living in cities. Like I was working at, like Yale before, and like 2 places in like New England and stuff. But the cool part is when I come home, I always feel like I'm on vacation because I used to vacation as a kid a little bit there because my parents used to have they have a house up here. Like their second home had a similar situation. So I'm like, every time I go home from work, I feel like I'm on vacation again. It's really nice. I feel like I'm on
Yeah, I mean the Poconos is kind of known as like a vacation spot.
Yeah, you're like, do you feel just different? I was like, no, I'm going to when I wake up, I see like mountain views. I'm not stressed about it. It's very nice. That's why I chose. I wanted to live somewhere where I could like just breathe. I was like, that's nice.
Yeah,
that's nice.
That's a nice area, bro. I mean, you did the right thing because everybody's moving out of Philly these days. So
Philly's nice. Like I like some parts of Philly, but y'all taxes be crazy. Y'all taxes be crazy.
Oh, that's
tax and soda be stupid. Be stupid.
It's so stupid. The good thing is I'm very close to Ben Salem, so if I don't really drink soda, but if I needed to, I could just go 10 minutes up the road to Ben Salem.
Oh yeah, for cheaper. I got soda yesterday. It was cheaper. It's like $1.50 less, $2. You'd be surprised with Philly's going up.
When you got them stomach bugs, the ginger ale, man, it helps.
That's the one thing I will say. Like I drink I'll drink like a ginger ale if like my stomach's really, really bad.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, it does help. You're right. Soda. My boy
nausea, Coca-Cola picks you right up.
Yeah.
Go jerk. Get your Kega Boost. Get some solid Kega Boost going on.
True.
Yeah.
I'll have to send you. I'll have to show you a picture. When I was up the mountains a month ago, we had an experience with some deer. There was like 10 of them, and my buddy was feeding them out his window. I have pictures of them, like the squad of them all, and like they're just coming right up to his car, eating right out of his hand.
Yeah, I have a squad that will not leave me alone. It's like a whole family. They are on my property on the daily.
Deer squad.
Yeah, I walk up my door. They're at my step. I was like, oh hi.
and it gets dark up there. My buddy said he was upstairs sleeping. He was the only one up there at the time. People were coming over the next day. He said he was sleeping upstairs and he heard something on his back porch. He's like, oh God, what's going on back there? Yeah. He goes and flips the light on. It's like a bunch of deer just standing on his porch. He's like, oh, okay.
I did that one time when my parents' house we were at before, like I was saying it before. I walked outside and I looked out the door and there was a black bear on the deck. I was like, "What?" And lock the door and do not look at me.
I'm good on that.
Do not look at me.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's like, all right, I'm gonna back away from this one. I'm not seeing it
in Alaska.
So when you hear things at night, you investigate. I was like, no.
Yeah, it's like I'm
You
not risking
investigate. I'm not investigating.
I
The
value
doors
my
are
life
locked,
too
right?
much.
Yeah. The doors are locked.
Pound for
What the
pound,
fuck?
that bear could easily take me.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
No, they're cool, but like, no.
You don't want to
I
make it
read
mad.
The Revenant. I read The Revenant.
Yeah, you don't want to agitate it.
I'm not gonna
That's
be
it.
like the guy in The Revenant
man.
with missing arms and stuff. No, thank you. You know,
Yeah, they really can too. They can rip your arm right off. They've
it's
got them
happened.
huge
People
claws.
up here, they
Yeah.
try to fake it and try to fall asleep. The bears have dragged them back to their caves and almost
Yeah.
ate them. And they tried running away. I was like, yeah, no, don't do that. Don't
They'll catch you if you're on the way
fake
there.
die.
You gotta lay dead. You gotta pretend to be dead. Like pretend to be dead, and they
Yeah,
don't
no,
eat
it
you.
doesn't help though.
Yeah, because
People did that.
they'll take you
They
back.
pick
They'll
you
think
up and they bring you to their cave, and then you're
I
far
heard
away from where you
if
were.
you pretend to be dead, he'll smell you. But if they're smart, they can see that you're breathing. They can eat you. But if you pretend to be dead, they'll smell you a little bit, like put their face on you, and they walk away because they think bears don't eat dead things, and that's the thing. It's always been a big deal. If a bear's chasing you, lay down, pretend you're dead. But you got to be very good at pretending you're dead. I mean,
you gotta be savvy.
I mean, that's a hard skill. People with asthma, them breathing exercises, that's hard, man.
You gotta be savvy. You gotta be very
cold.
savvy.
You gotta be almost dead. You gotta be, or just walk away. You know.
Yo,
Just
guys, I
don't
don't want to
invest.
get you short, bro. I gotta go to work actually because I was remember I
Yeah,
told
yeah.
you stay at school. Then I let you guys to kind of finish off the last few comments. Yo, John, great episode, bro. We really appreciate you, man. Actually, one of my fun ones I had in a long time. Good to have you, bro. It's good to kind of
Yeah,
meet
man.
you like this, and we'll be in touch. I'll talk to you
Yeah.
on Facebook. Maybe we'll come visit you in the Poconos. You come to Philly, let me and Steve know.
We'll do
Awesome
it.
stuff, bro. Thank you again.
It's kind of a
Sorry,
madhouse
bro.
right now, but
I wish
yeah.
I could kind of finish off, but I gotta go soon because
Yeah, man, be safe driving. Be
I
safe
will, but
driving.
thank you. I gotta
Yeah.
drive downtown, so yeah, I gotta be careful.
Yeah.
So, all right,
Be
guys.
safe,
As always, man, great stuff. It's
See
been
ya.
a pleasure, guys. Be true to be you, Steve. I'll talk to you soon. We'll keep in touch, John, and you guys finish off strong and have a great one. All right, guys.
Yep.
Good night.
Thanks,
All
George.
right. No problem, bro. Hi, guys.
Peace.
Yep.
All right. So I'll probably just wrap up like the last couple minutes here. Again, I'm just thanking you for coming on, man. I mean, the good thing about the podcast is, it brings like old connections together. I'm able to connect with you on here, man. It's great doing the show with you. Last week, I don't think we had any guests last week. Yeah, I think it was just me and George. So usually a lot of times I'll shout out guests from previous episodes, but I think it was just me and George last week.
I think it was. I didn't get to watch too much of it because I was kind of busy.
Yeah.
Screaming kid and all, but
Yeah, we just did credit cards, like best travel and cashback cards for people to use, with like a finance episode. But yeah, I'm actually gonna wrap up here. I actually did announce to people I'm going to be traveling and I'm gonna be like doing real estate part time for a little bit. So I'm actually taking a hiatus for like the next month. But George has some guests lined up, so George will be taking over, just solo with some guests for the next month. So guys.
Man, let me know if you need connections with the whole real estate thing because I know a lot of people in Philadelphia and like Jersey area who practice real estate and who have brokerages and who have teach classes as well. So
yeah, I'll definitely reach out. I actually have my mentor, he deals in real estate too. So yeah, it's great to have so many connections, but I'll definitely reach out though, man, for sure.
Yeah, that's if you want it. It's totally up to you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, it's always good to, have just have multiple connections, no matter what.
Yeah. Knowledge is fun. It's fun to know things and people don't know.
Of course.
It's fun.
It's definitely important. So I made that announcement to everybody. I put it on Facebook and Instagram. So if you're seeing this on YouTube, guys, you only watch this on YouTube. That's I'm gonna be going for next month. But George will be keeping the show alive. He'll be having his guests on, and I'm sure he'll have some really, really interesting topics to bring you guys as always. I don't really know what he has in store. I'm sure he's got some really, really good stuff though. But I think I'll wrap up here by just saying again, just really appreciate you coming on, man. Great value. This is going to be very informative actually to a lot of people because I actually personally know some friends that
it could be like a 6-part episode because there's a lot to go over. You're like, what do you want to talk about?
Exactly. I tell people that with finance. I'm like, you can't just put finance, not even just finance. Like I tell people when it comes to money management, you can't put that into one episode because there's so many.
You can't put my opinion about Marvel comics and DC in one episode. Like it's just you're like, nah, you need at least 5 hours, man. You got
it's like this is an 11-part episode.
Like, this one's complicated. How you feel about it?
Exactly.
It's like, how's your fan with the Eagles? That's not an episode. That's a life. That's not a. That's a.
Yeah, we'll have to do an episode on that one time, like Marvel versus DC. I'll tell you personally, I'm more of a Marvel person. So
Yeah, I mean, I am too, but DC has some solid. Um, Historically, they have really good comics,
yeah,
better comics than they have movies and shows. But
yeah.
they have had shows that are really good too. So
Oh,
it just
absolutely.
depends what you want, right?
Yep, depends on your
Like
preference.
Marvel's cool for like it's humans becoming kind of gods, and DC's cool for like it's gods trying to become humans.
Yeah,
It's different, different
exactly.
perspective. Depends what you're in the mood for. But hey,
Yeah, for
man,
sure.
it's been a pleasure. I don't hold you up. It's getting late, Um, good luck to you to your whole month trip.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you for coming on. I'll definitely reach out regarding the real estate, and then we can also just talk leisure wise and stuff. But
Yeah, man.
yeah, thanks a lot for coming on. Have a great weekend, man. Yeah, so it's almost Friday, so have a great weekend.
Work 6 days a
Happy,
week, man. It don't stop.
yeah,
It don't
yeah,
stop. It don't stop.
yeah. I'm like
I work
5.
7 days a week as a dad. What you talk about breaks? What
Exactly.
you talk about?
Well, have a
My
healthy
only
and
vacation is a
happy
vacation
weekend.
from work. My only
Yeah,
vacation.
yeah. So just have a
Yeah.
happy, healthy weekend. Make the best of it,
Hey,
man. And
man.
everybody else out there, have a
Absolutely.
great weekend. And
Have a blessed week, man. See you around.
you too, man. Take care.
Peace.